Welcome to the Boosting Achievement ESL podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carol Salva. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to check out Voice Ed Radio, voiced.ca. It's education radio 24 hours a day. It's one of my favorite things. So make sure you check them out. You can get all the shows, this show and other shows, find new shows. It's great. So today, we have the authors, the co-authors of the ESL ELL Teacher Survival Guide. This is the second edition, but in today's interview, you're going to hear how different it is. And it's a special delight for me to interview these authors, first of all, because I contributed a chapter. I'm pretty excited that I got to write a chapter in this new edition about PD and self-reflection and other things like that, and other contributors. It's a different book. It's so different than a second edition where there's just a few updates. This book has almost a whole other book, and we'll talk about that in the interview. When I interviewed them, I did not have the book in my hands. So now I'm very excited. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have it, I'm holding it, I'm loving it. and we're just very honored to be mentioned in it. John Seidlitz, whom I work for, John got his book this week, and we were just pouring through it. You can just print out. It's very, very practical. And there's so many things for you to print out. I have so much to say about the actual resource and the other free resources that are out there. But I wanted to get this show out as soon as possible because we are about to start a free book study on the book. So that will be in today's show notes. You can just click on it. It's April 16th. That's when we're starting. Get your book. And even if you don't have the book. So it's a wonderful thing. I really appreciate MLL Chat Book Club on Twitter, and even in the Facebook groups and Instagram and other places, people are sharing about this. Just go on Twitter, go to the hashtag ESLSG, and you can catch a lot of the learning. Instagram and other places, people are sharing about this with that hashtag. So if you do or don't have your copy, I would highly recommend you plug in to what people are saying about it. And again, let's go hear this interview. They probably need no introduction. This is Katie Sypnieski and Larry Ferlazzo. They are still in the classroom, but they do so much. They share so much every day. Larry is the top tip that I have for people if you want to know who to follow. So I'll talk about more about that after the show. All right, let's go. And I'm so excited, so very, very excited to be talking to two of my education heroes. So welcome, Larry Ferlazzo, and welcome, Katie Sypnieski.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Carol.
Absolutely.
All right. The admiration is mutual.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored by that. I'm so honored by that. And I'm honored to be a part of this. So I have some questions about the new resource that's coming out. I'm very excited. That's why we're coming together, because I would like to help amplify the word out on the street about the updated version. But before we do that, both of you to educators like me are very well known. You've done so much and added so much to the field in different ways. But could you tell us a little bit about what your life is like right now? I could go on and gush about you, but if you wouldn't mind, Katie, telling us here in 2022, we're recording at the beginning, first quarter of 2022. What's your life like right now? What are you doing? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, like all teachers, I'm taking things day by day. It's been a tough year. And I'm grateful that I have a community of educators around me because it's, I've been teaching, this is my 25th year. And there are challenges today that I haven't experienced before. So right now I am teaching 9th and 10th graders, and I am working at a small high school. It's a public high school, but a small high school. And I am raising my own 3 kids and teaching and trying to stay healthy.
Yes, and writing books,
And writing books. Oh yeah, me and Larry write books.
and
Forgot about that part.
articles, and you're adding so much to the field. But I do want to underscore that. I mean, and I love that first and foremost, you're in the field, you're a classroom teacher, you're working with students. And that I know is one of the reasons people hold the both of you in such high regard, because you're testing these things out. You're constantly and you're lifelong learners, and you share that journey with us. And I know February, March, that's always the time of year that is so hard. To me, it always was in the classroom, because the honeymoon's over and we're not at the finish line and we're this. But this year, like you said, and last year, to a degree that we've never even imagined before. So I just want to lift you up and thank you for what you're doing. And I know folks that listen to this show appreciate what you said about having a community of teachers.
Yeah, because I think no one really understands what it's like right now unless you are in the classroom. You know, it just seems to be the case.
No, yeah, we can't. It was a tricky thing, I know, for instructional coaches when we first, and I'm speaking from experience, when we first shut down, especially, teachers were doing things that we couldn't support because we'd never done those things. And it got to this, it can be very weird for teachers to be going way ahead of you with what they were having to learn by fire. And since you're not in the classroom with students, there's other ways to support, like you were saying, being a community, learning things together. But I would agree wholeheartedly that unless you are doing it, we can't begin to imagine what teachers are doing. I think the world owes you, just all of teachers, just such a huge debt of gratitude. And I know we do. So thank you for everything you're doing. And then beyond that, you go and put things out in the field to help others. And this resource is a great example of that. So thank you for letting us know what's going on right now. And there's a special place in heaven for you, because it's ninth graders that you're teaching. I have a ninth grader. I have a ninth grader at home. I love ninth graders. But it's every year can have its challenges. And in our high school, it was always, those teachers that will be the ninth graders.
Well, also having taught middle school too, I think there's an even more special place for middle school teachers.
We all just are really, in awe of each other. Let's just say that. Well, thank you for that. Now, Larry, of course, you need no introduction, and we could go on and fill up the whole show with everything you're putting out in every place you are. What is your day like? What are you doing from day to day right now in the world?
Well, I get up early, do some writing, either for Ed Week or for my blog, and I go teach. And I teach half the day. I'm teaching EL, beginning and intermediate ELL classes, and then the other half of the day I teach International Baccalaureate philosophy classes. And then I come home and either write, play basketball, or play pickleball. So, and am or hang out with my grandkids, come and walk our dog, and hang out with my wife, who is extraordinarily supportive, and which is one of the reasons why, and I can do all these other things.
I know.
I know.
I've never met this woman, but I know she's a saint. I just know.
Katie and Katie would agree in many ways with that assessment, that she's so she's great. And so, and periodically, I harass Katie about doing another project, and she's mean to me, and then I wear her down.
Well, you're both so passionate. I don't know if anybody really believes that you're out there walking a dog or playing basketball. I mean, I hear you talking about the basketball, so I know that you do, but where you find the time to do all of these things is just incredible. And we are so grateful. Your top tip, always, wherever I go, I make sure people know to be following you, because I can't follow everyone that I would like to follow, but you do so much to synthesize. You're a great filter for educators of everything that's out there. You have a wonderful way of synthesizing in all of your best lists. And so I'm super grateful for all of that as well. And then the resources that you two put out together, and this one being, a top one. So tell me if I'm right. So of course, and it was about 10 years ago that the original one came out, around 2012.
Yeah.
And it's the ESL ELL Teacher Survival Guide. I own a copy that I use all the time. And the subtitle is Ready to Use Strategies, Tools, and Activities for Teaching English Language Learners of All Levels. And it's truly that word survival in there. I love that y'all had picked that, because when I got my hands on this, this was 10 years ago. You were writing about language experience approach and things like picture word inductive model and stuff that still to this day, we tell teachers this is the thing, this is practical, this works, it's tried and true. And so it is, the resource is a very practical guide. What made you want to update it, and how is it different?
Well, I can speak to that, why we wanted to update.
Okay.
I mean, we write books that help us be better teachers for our students. And so we use our books. And so, we go back to it, and we are updating, just like teachers do. We make changes. This doesn't work that great. Okay, let's make it better. And Larry forces us to keep track of those things. And he writes about them on his blog. So that's actually really kind of built in there for us, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's why we write books together, because they make us better teachers.
About how you are a lab, like a little a lab there for things that work and don't work, and you just collaborate. It's great to get to benefit from your collaboration and the things that you're trying. So you've compiled all these things about how you might tweak it. So we love that. That's the reason, is that things change in over a decade. We would say things differently or look at things differently. The world has obviously changed.
Yep.
So that's wonderful.
There's new research that comes out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for keeping it fresh. Larry, can you tell us, like, what are some of the biggest changes that we can expect to see with the new version?
Well, I think they're sort of the main changes are, one, as Katie has mentioned, that we've had 10 years of some new hits and a lot of misses, and we've and so we talk about that in the book, and we've narrowed, basically the book, we've narrowed down the strategies to the ones that we use regularly.
Okay.
That and it says not as many. For example, we have the ELL Teachers Toolbox, which is another book which has lots of strategies, very good strategies, but we don't use all of them all the time.
I see.
We narrow it down to basically our our go-to strategies, and then included a bunch of variations and student figures, handouts that would go with them. So how you can use use this sequencing strategy. And here are 15 student handouts on how you can do it 15 ways.
Wow.
And then, of course, I mean, Katie and I are very good teachers and we know what we're doing, but we are not experts at everything. So we figured, let's approach other teachers like yourself who are experts in a lot of different things that we might not be experts in. So, we have, 10 other educators, ELL educators, who have contributed to this in their particular area of expertise. You're talking about professional development. Valentina Gonzalez discussing elementary education in ELLs. Tan talking about use of home language. We have Stephen Flanor.
Dr. Stephen Fleener.
Yeah, on science. Cindy Garcia on math. What do Katie and I know about teaching math or science? Right? I mean, so we have a lot. Antoinette Perez on teaching adult ELLs. Jenny Vo on the issue internationally with the prejudice that non-native English speakers face when getting jobs overseas teaching English.
Wow.
Jessica Bell writing about teaching ELLs with learning differences.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have Laura Gibbs helped us a lot. Each chapter begins with a international folktale that we apply to the theme of the chapter. So I think we hit everybody. Is there? I think
I'm looking. I think we did.
Yeah. So
it's an impressive list. I'm so honored to be a part of it and among such impressive educators that they themselves share quite a bit. So I feel like it's wonderful to have something from these folks be a part of this book. And then you're also opening readers' eyes to another person they may want to follow because you're, letting them know, science or math or so. These are folks that we go to for that. And so it was an honor to get to be a part of it. And I appreciate that you would update it and just have so many co-authors to have even more part of the book.
I mean, I think we are very clear what we don't know. And so.
And I point it out to Larry all the time.
Yeah, right. So, and that's fine. You recognize, I think you recognize the limitations and you invite other people to help you out. And we've also added additional chapters on long-term English language learners.
Nice.
And
culturally responsive teaching.
Yeah. And culturally responsive teaching, especially with English language learners.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically this book, I mean, it's a revision, but we basically wrote another book and put it together, right? I mean, it's a couple of 100 pages longer than the initial one. Yeah. And all of the handouts and figures are freely downloadable, even if you don't purchase the book, though obviously it doesn't, if you don't know the strategy that it goes with this, but it's, they're available. So you can just put them into Google Classroom or print them out or whatever. So,
and then we also have tech tools suggested for many of the activities as well.
You had tech things even 10 years ago. You had tech things in the last book that was very forward thinking back then. But now, of course, that takes on a whole new perspective. I mean, or we do as educators now we look at technology in such a different way.
We actually wrote a chapter on distance learning last year that our publisher released freely released when we were all doing distance learning with ELLs, and that's part of, we revised it, but that chapter has been available for a while. And we also have a big chapter. We call it challenges and how you deal with it, basically problems, problems that we experience and how you deal with it, how you deal with each one. So, and we've obviously, since the first version, the first edition, have encountered many more problems than we encountered prior to that. So there's a lot of stuff. And I want to second what Katie said in the book. We write the book to help our own teaching, so we don't lose track of things, ideas or our resources. I have a dog-eared copy, and certainly in my classroom, used by me and student teachers over the years.
Yeah, neither of us are getting any younger.
Well, none of us are, but I think this is so important. And I hope one of the big things that readers take away, readers and listeners, and watch people viewing, take away from this is that there's so much available right now. I highly recommend the resource because I've used my copy a lot, and it was a survival type thing for me. I went back in the classroom, and it's very humbling to go back in the classroom when you've been out for a long time and you think, right? You think, I did feel like, well, I take over classes all the time and I'm in there with the teachers in the trenches, and not that I wasn't working hard, but it is not the same.
Yeah, you lose that cumulative effect, right?
There are the relationships among the students, your relationship with them, your relationship with the parents, and the grading and the appraiser, and every day there's a new lesson coming up that you're about to deliver. And I always felt like it felt like a storm happening that I was trying to work in the middle of. And so it's not very easy to see some things that might be obvious to somebody that walked in and watched me. But that guide and other resources that y'all put out is so practical, is so very practical, that I appreciated it very much. And so that word survival in it felt like that to me.
I should also mention, we also have a chapter there for content teachers. Nice. Or for, what do you do if you're a content teacher and, you get a newcomer or two newcomers put in your class, or intermediate, and our perspective is good ELL teaching is good teaching for everybody. So lots of the strategies are applicable for teachers who don't even have any ELLs in their classes, right? It's just good scaffolded teaching that helps everybody be successful.
100%. It's part of tier 1 instruction. And people who do start to do that, I don't think they go back to teaching any other way. You realize that these are high impact. And if you understand the why, so you start your books explaining the why, so that it's not about just a strategy. There's a reason for this and a reason we're doing these things. I also find it's super important now more than ever because the field is changing to where I feel like we have more new teacher leaders than ever because people are leaving. To be a very effective coach, to be a very effective instructional support person to a teacher, you don't have to be perfect or have all the answers. You have to be a good partner to that teacher, I feel like, and together help figure things out for whatever the issues are right now. So to hear the two of you at the top of your game saying, oh, well, there's several things we don't know and we pulled from other people, I hope people take that and are comforted like I am by that.
We should also point out is at the end of the book, we make it clear that we all need ongoing professional support. And, we recommend 3 organizations. We recommend the National Writing Project, the Wright Institute, and your organization.
Oh,
So is it pronounced Sedlet?
Seidlitz.
Seidlitz.
Yes.
So so those are the 3 organizations that we recommend in our book for educators to get ongoing support.
We have not seen that yet. John Seidlitz is going to be thrilled about that.
Yeah, so that's in the I think it's in the afterword of our book. So
Well,
yeah, just wanted to let you know that because you're not the only contributor who works with them. So and it's clearly one of the top organizations in the country to provide support for ELLs.
Well, thank you. I'm very super. It's my dream job to get to work with John Seidlitz and with that team. I wanted to ask you, I mean, we're all very excited about this new version. It's going to have more contributing authors. I'll make sure they're all in the show notes today with links to the individual contributing authors. The international folktale was a challenge for me. I'm going to just be honest. I looked and looked because it was such a cool feature, and that you wanted to keep with that. So each chapter has a folk tale, but it has to tie to the content. And then there's a little bit of text that is explicit about how it's tying to this content that we're about to explain. And I found one that I thought was worthwhile. That's a professional development in and of itself. That's very culturally responsive for me to go out looking for something that would help tell this. How did y'all come up with that? What made you want to include 10 years ago to include folktales through a PD resource like this? Katie, do you remember?
Well, I think it was the fact that the power of stories in our teaching, and how we connect with our students and their families through stories. And so I think that, Larry, does that sound right? I think that's originally kind of where that idea came from.
Yeah, I think so. And it was hard. So it's unlikely we'll do it again in another book.
And we had help.
Yeah, we didn't have Laura. I mean, actually for this one. Yeah, Laura Gibbs, who teaches in Oklahoma. This is, she has a great thing. She has her students create very concise versions of international folktales. That's what
that's a project she has them do.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so she knows all about folktales. So it was great. I mean, there were some chapters we were stuck in, and we sent her the chapter and said, can you find a folktale that works?
And she's like, here's 3, choose one.
Well, there's so much greatness in that.
Yeah.
There's so much. I know the 3 of us have like a language arts background, but even people who don't, the stories and the power of stories, and then there's culture in there, and there's heritage, and there's theme and messages.
Yeah.
It's woven through this resource that it's not like without it would be a very sterile resource, but often a professional development book, I'm looking for, how to. And so it can be very, how to, but throughout it is woven this personal aspect, this heart piece that I think makes it it's just beautiful. It's just really beautiful. I know you guys were proud of the first edition, and I know you're probably so giddy about this next one.
Well, you're helping us get there.
Yeah.
Because we just get so sick of it.
Well, who would blame you with everything you have going on right now that, you're just like, yes, just put it out in the world. But no, I want to help celebrate it. I want to, as a teacher who benefited from the first one and truly needed it, even though I had been a professional development person in my district, to go back into the classroom. And I was teaching a demographic that in our area, we hadn't had a lot of SIFE kids before, that, it just was a new thing for me, that a survival guide is the kind of thing you want to reach for. And so I have a real special place in my heart for it. And then how meaningful to me to be able to contribute to the next one. So I'm forever grateful to be able to be a part of it. I'm super proud of it.
Well, we're very appreciative
Yes.
of you
Yes.
and the other contributors to making the second edition what it is. For some second editions, I mean, it was interesting. The publisher, or I don't know, the publisher, what we were told is that second editions, there may be that there's 30% new content, right? And really, for this second edition, I mean, of the old content, there's probably 40% changes. Plus, we've added, like 12 new chapters, right? So I mean, it's
another book too.
I mean, I mean, sometimes I'm hesitant, right, to get second editions of books to see really how different is it. But this one clearly is substantially different from the first one. And I think the first one is still very good. So, well,
yeah.
I mean, I still get, hear from lots of teachers who like it a lot.
Yeah, no, people will love it. I was hoping to end by asking you to, because we all look to you so much for inspiration, for community, for just support in so many different ways. If you could end with a piece of advice, like let's say a new teacher joins your school or your team, or someone who really needs support right now. It's a difficult time for teachers. What is one thing that you would ask them to keep in mind being an educator? We really need our teachers right now. And so what's one thing that you might say to someone who needs some inspiration right now? Larry, do you think that you could think of something? I know I didn't prep you for this. So.
Oh, no. Well, I think there'll always be lots of tough days, and you'll have it when you're a rookie and when you've been teaching for 20, 30 years. And I think you just put out good energy and try your best, and it'll get better. It'll always get better if you do that.
Excellent.
I totally agree. It's always, there's a new day, right? The students are that way too. It's like the next day is a new day. And I would say, we write a lot about looking at our students through the lens of assets and not deficits, but also looking at ourselves because teachers can be very hard on themselves. And especially when you're a new teacher, people will give you lots of advice and, don't smile or do smile or don't do this or do, and just crazy things sometimes. But look at the assets that you have inside you, because everybody does. And don't be too hard on yourself. We're all learning, like we said, we're learning together. Some of us learn every day.
That is wonderful. Thank you both so much, because that is always one of my biggest takeaways, is that I am doing good enough. And if in listening to folks like you, again, we consider you at the top of your game. And when you're humble like that, like it's not perfect every day, but we're doing the best we can. And all together, we're all doing great work every day. and you might not give yourself that credit. So thank you for that. Thank you both so much for your words, those kind of words, and then those practical pieces of advice that you are constantly putting in the field. I'm so excited to see this edition, this new edition out. I highly recommend everybody get their hands on a copy, and then we will collaborate about it over on Twitter and other places. So I'll have links to where you can connect with all of us to talk about this resource and how you're using it. So thank you both so much for joining me. Thank you for everything you're doing for us too.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you,
so much,
Carol.
Carol.
And I just want to say that if there are any typos in the book, if they've gotten past the number of times that Katie and I went through it, and then the Josie Bass copy editors, then they deserve to be there. I read I saw a tweet by an author who said something similar to that. So that's how I'm looking at it. Because actually, yeah, so just want everybody to know that
There
they're
you go.
for a purpose.
That's
Okay.
absolutely, that absolutely.
A
They've earned
reminder that we're
spot.
not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's symbolic. It's symbolism.
Yes, there we go.
I love it. Okay, that's a perfect
Thanks,
place.
Carol.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate you. We all do.
Okay.
Thank
Have a good night and a
you.
good
All
rest of the
right, you
year.
too. We'll talk
Bye.
soon. Bye-bye. Okay, wait. We are not done. The show notes. Let me just say it one more time. They're always at the same place. The short link bit.ly/BA podcast, all in capital letters, and you are looking for episode 107. It's a blog post, for lack of a better word, because people don't have to listen to the show or watch this YouTube video. You can skim through the notes and get links and things. So that you'll want to know maybe. And then my learning. People who listen to this podcast know that it is a journey of learning for me. And if hopefully, if you're listening, you're reflecting and personalizing it for you. So one of the things from this show that I felt very, it just resonated with me a lot when I went back through and I'm editing the show and I'm listening. If you pay attention at the beginning of the show, there's a bit of a somber tone. And I mean, why wouldn't there be, right? We are in a time in the spring of 2022 where everybody thought it would be better. And in many ways, it's worse. Just for your background information, Katie Holsenepsky and Larry Ferlazzo were on the cusp of going on strike there in Sacramento. And they did go on strike right after we recorded this. And they were on strike for over a week. So, you think about that. You can hear Katie talking about, she's relying on her network of educators, of other people. And so something that really, that I found very interesting is when I listened to the show, the mood it's serious at the beginning. We're going through some serious stuff right now, and teachers are going through really hard things. But by the end of the show, the mood has lifted. Like we find opportunities to laugh about things and be, for me personally, be energized and motivated and hopeful. And you can just hear that throughout. We have moments of laughter. I find all of this important for my own reflection, for learning. And it ties directly to a resource like this, because that's how people get through. That's how we're all getting through and getting better, is in community with each other. You see it happen through the interview, but in a bigger picture, since we recorded that, they went through a lot of things where, they were out of their classroom. These are advocates for their students and their community, and it's super stressful. Like Katie said, there's things they've never had to deal with before. But together, there's so much hope. There's so much hope. This is why these are my top people. When I tell people who you should follow, they open your personal learning network up. They open it up to many other people. If you follow them, you find other people, whether you're a math teacher, a science teacher, an ELL teacher, they're constantly connected and sharing. And so I think it's just so important. It really resonates with me. It really, really affirms to me that we are all so much better together. You know, Larry's written books on how to motivate students, how to help them become motivated. He doesn't say how to motivate them. If you listen, and he's quoting many researchers, and you get his book about helping kids become more motivated, there are things that the researchers say, you know, they agree on. A sense of competence, give people a sense of competence. That's what we get when we work together, and you have a resource like this, and you can just pull some things right out of it and use it right there in your classroom. We're becoming more competent there in the moment. And when we talk to each other and share ideas, we're helping each other become more competent. And then relatedness, that relationships, those relationship pieces, you heard us talk about that. And relevance. How is this relevant to our lives right now? Why would what we're talking about be relevant to what we're doing in the field? I think it all just keeps circling back on itself. We want to help students, so we help each other, so we help ourselves. And this show is very relevant, I feel like, to any educator right now who is going through hard things. I love what Katie said there at the end. Hang on, it gets better. It does get better. They both, you know, there's a new day. Both of them said things like that. And so that's the kind of message we want to give to students, but that's the kind of message, like Katie said, we can be really hard on ourselves. And we need to think about what we bring and the assets we bring. And I'll also mention that the other thing that Larry mentions in articles and in his book about helping students become intrinsically motivated is the aspect of choice and autonomy. So how much choice do you have? And these are champions of self-directed learning. That's why I mentioned MLL Chat Book Club. It's your choice if you want to go over there and do that. Or maybe you just want to follow the hashtag for this book, ESL SG, and when you can and when you want to, because we're a lot more motivated in those conditions. So I want to thank them, because this interview, things they put out in the field for free, you know, they're not being paid for that, but it is one of the most important parts of my learning. So I really appreciate them. And I appreciate you. I wouldn't be doing the show probably. I might, if no one was listening, but you're really adding to my learning when I think about an authentic audience out there listening to this. And so again, big plug for this resource. And if you get out there, find me on Twitter, find me on the Facebook, a little bit on Instagram, and connect with me. I'd love to talk to you about what you're using from it and how we're all using it. Thanks again, Larry Ferlazzo. Thanks again, Katie Holsnepsky, and everyone who is out there supporting educators and supporting multilingual learners. Thank you. Bye-bye.